Hey friend, we're midway into an adventure. I'm having an absolute blast, and the unique part on this trip is that we're partway in and I haven't yet experienced that sensation of the key item that I accidentally left at home. And so that kind of got me thinking, there's quite a few little trinkets and items that I've grown fond of over the years that have been really helpful on just adventures, and also especially ones that I'm filming on. And so I wanted to share a bunch of them with you in sort of a rapid style format. I've got a cool cooking tube here that I'm quite happy with what I've ended up with. And also I'm hoping to hear in the comments some ideas from you. So we're gonna head over to land here, check out the cabin site, and let's talk about some of the trinkets and items that I find really helpful out on a filming adventure. First off, I really enjoy having things in cases with clear windows. That's kind of a no-brainer. I just like being able to see what's inside of it. And especially when it's a film trip and you have a lot of camera gear, it can be, the camera stuff can kind of just take over everything. So it's very helpful to have smaller bags to put things inside of. So I'm a massive fan of stuff sacks for things like clothing, especially having one dedicated to socks and stuff as they get dirty, and then one dedicated to fresh socks. This bag here has kind of my cookware stuff in it that I'll show you in a sec. And this is like my go-to grab bag with a lot of my cables, fast access items, and a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna be using on a daily basis. Something that I always have along is an air blower. It's incredible how much dust gets over camera gear, and being able to blow off lenses, blow off sensors. Having a little air rocket is an essential piece of kit. A surprising item is a crappy headlamp, and the reason for this is I love shooting at dusk, blue hour, and I like having headlamps on people that I'm filming, on myself. But oftentimes, because our cameras are so good in low light now, if you have a headlamp on, it is just so bright in the frame. And if you dim it down, a lot of headlamps flicker over video because of how the dimming technology works.
Like a normal headlamp right now would be flaring out this lens completely.
So if you get a crappier headlamp, this is just a kid's headlamp here, the light isn't as bright, so that way if you use this while you're filming like a gear packing scene or something like that, it doesn't dominate the video frame, and it makes the shot a lot more usable, and it still has that kind of fun adventure aesthetic to it. I have a few lighting themed things later, but this little guy right here is one of my new personal favorite adventure lighting tools, and it is a candle lantern. So I've used this on a few backpacking trips now and hiking trips, and there's something, is it analog when it's candle? I don't know. There's something about the texture of flame that is quite, it feels cozy in a tent environment. So when you have a lot of artificial lights at nighttime to make your video work, it's nice having a candle to kind of offset that aesthetic. In the same vein as fire, especially if it's an adventure shoot, it's a fun thing to bring matches, and it's also responsible. So these are storm matches from Yuko as well. And there's a little bit of a fire starter in the cap. It's in a protective case. Nice, easy to strike matches. They burn for a really long time. I bought in cheap storm matches that just do not work when they even get a little bit damp. So I've stopped skimping on cheap matches. And when you want to get a fire going and it's wet and it's cold, it's nice to just have a reliable way to start a fire. And these matches, they're my go-to favorite now. Coming over here into my cookware case. This Opinel knife is one of my favorites to bring along. I often use it for food prep, but what I like about it is that it's a really lightweight folder knife, so it just goes away into any bag and it doesn't take up much space. It fits good in the hand, but I love this knife because it's a Scandi grind, but it's not a super thick blade. So that means it still works good for food prep, so the blade is thin enough that you can get some nice slices going if you're slicing cheese or meat or stuff like that. But the Scandi grind makes it effective for whittling wood, so it gets a nice bite in there early and you can take off big chunks quickly, and the handle is comfortable enough in the hand. So you might not think that it's actually that good for woodwork, but the No.9 knife, I find it quite effective, and it's just a nice light knife that does a lot of good work, and I'm always happy when I have this in my kit. Shifting back to the camera side of things, this small Rig CheesePLate is just filled with most of the common bolts that I might want to use for rigging camera accessories. It's so annoying to be to be hours and hours away from civilization and just wanting that one bolt to put your camera rig together, and then you don't have it. So this right here has been a fail-safe for me many times, and it's got magnetic holders for a lot of the common Allen keys. So it's not incredibly lightweight, but it's really effective to just throw in my bag and always take with me. And this has saved my butt so many times when you just need that one last bolt to put something together. Another item I just can't get enough of is the Peak Design camera straps. They have quick release buckles on them. Little plastic clips. They snap on quick release. Another positive of a camera strap is that you can brace the camera away from yourself to get smoother B-roll and less shaky cam. Less shaky cam is better. So that's the adjustable one. I also have a leather strap with the quick release plates on it, and you can turn any leather strap just by sewing on the ends and have multiple straps going around for all the gear. In the realm of cameras, while we're on it, no brainer to have the USB-C chargers. So instead of the AC wall outlet one that you actually need household power, you can just do this with any USB power source, like a small power bank. It just makes things a lot more efficient and adaptable for wherever you're getting your power from. Now, another item that has saved my butt so many times, and this might come out of left field, is Apple AirTags. I have come to just absolutely love these things. And the reason for that is they're location tracking tags that you can put on any accessory. They have a small little battery in it that just runs them for months and months on end. I haven't had to replace any batteries yet. But not only can your phone track them down, but it can utilize any iPhone in the vicinity to know where it is. So it doesn't have any cellular in it. It just works off Bluetooth. But if you forget this in a parking lot 2 cities away and someone walks by it with their own iPhone, your personal iPhone will know where it is. So I put it on things like my glasses case because I just have a habit of setting it down in like the worst spot. And I've used other physical object trackers before, but the UI and the way that the way that Apple has done this tracker is better than any other that I've used before. If you know of one that works better than this, I'm happy to hear it, but I'm gushing about this just because of how well it works. I lost one in a parking lot 2 cities over from where I live, and like a month later, I realized that it had fallen off my keys and I hadn't even noticed that I lost it. And I pull it up on my phone, and sure enough, it's at someone's house 2 cities over. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go drive there and see. And so I come up and knock on the door, and this old lady had found it and had no idea what to do with it, but felt bad just leaving it in a parking lot. And it was my AirTag. So that moment kind of just really sold me on the effectiveness of this. And if you put those AirTags in the bottom corners of like your camera bag, if it gets stolen by chance in a city or something like that, and you're able to track it down before they're able to find it in there and get rid of it, that is pretty clutch and well worth the investment in my opinion. Okay, we're gonna get a fire going. I've got some items in my cook kit that I'm quite excited about. Before we do that, we're gonna head inside, talk about some technology. And in the meantime, if there's items that you really like on your adventures, I'd love to hear them because I like learning about what other people enjoy having along. So make sure you're dropping that in the comments down below. USB-C adapters. These things are so stinking helpful when you don't have every single cable with you. Micro SD card, SD card readers. I don't go anywhere with a computer without bringing these devices. I've tried a lot of different readers before, and a lot of them have gone bad on me after a couple months. I've found the Anker stuff works really well. Anker's actually the sponsor of this video about a different item, but I've been really pleased with these for years now, and I always make sure to label them with my name so that way someone doesn't try to steal them from my bag, because you never want a cable to grow legs and walk away. But there's another item from Anker that we've been putting through the paces on this trip, and it's something that I'm pretty excited about, and it's their new portable battery bank. This thing is an absolute beast of functionality as far as portable battery banks go. And if you've been around the channel for any amount of time, you know that I love portable power. So seeing a new entry come to the game is kind of exciting. And it's one of those pieces of kit that maybe you might think of it more as a backup item. Hey, if the power goes out, or emergency use. And don't get me wrong, it is wildly helpful for those scenarios as well. But once you have it, you just start to realize how many scenarios you can actually use it for if you're taking it in your vehicle with you, or if you're actually taking it out on a sailboat like we are on this trip. And it is so awesome to have all the ports right on the front, ready to go to utilize the power inside and not be fearful of just burning through your battery because you're charging your laptop. You can actually get multiple laptop charging cycles, charge your cameras. but then you've also got the AC household outlets. So if you've got a big power use item like big film lights or maybe a George Foreman barbecue grill or something like that, you can actually run just the items that you want to use off the grid wherever you are. You want to set up a projector, do a movie night. It is quite delightful to be able to just bring power with you. And maybe you're catching the fact that I'm excited about stuff like this, and it's because I am. And what's exciting about what Anker is doing inside of this one is they have lithium iron phosphate batteries inside. The cells, it's a better chemistry, it's more stable, and you get a longer lifetime out of the cells itself. So it's pretty cool seeing them take it seriously, and they actually want to really make a long-term use item here. The lithium iron phosphate cells is the same that we have in our van. So there's a nice peace of mind that goes along with a more stable battery, knowing that you don't have to worry about things overheating or catching on fire or things like that. This is a very stable chemistry, and it's a good baseline for batteries that you want to be using in environments that you're actually existing as well, that you don't want things to go bad. It's got over 1200 watts. When you're trying to fiddle with your electronics at nighttime and plug them in, you can just use the built-in soft light on it. And then something that I really like is that the AC charging port is built into the unit itself. So instead of having a separate power adapter that you have to plug into the wall and it's this brick that you carry around with you and maybe you forget, instead of that, it's just one standard AC cable straight into the back. So even if you forget yours, there's other ones lying around. It feels pretty good to be the person at the family camp out that's powering everyone else's accessories and charging their phones. It's nice to be the prepared one on a trip because it takes all your other battery powered things and makes them last longer. So immediately all the other things that you have with a battery, you get more life out of it just by investing in one piece of kit, and that's a big win for me. A few more exciting items here. It's nice having a second fire starter. I forgot this before. ZIPPO. Bic lighters with pressurized fuel. I've had them not work in extremely cold environments. So having a ZIPPO, it's gonna work when it's really cold. That's pretty neat. This guy right here, I wish I had bought it 10 years previous. It was a gift from someone on the channel, Mark, who was sick of watching me try to axe down branches to clear things. A SILKY pole saw. It's ridiculous how fast this can cut through wood. If there's any down branches on a road you're driving down, or if you're hiking and there's trees that have fallen, especially coming out of winter, there's a lot of down trees in these areas. So just having a saw with you, it's surprising how many times it's effective, especially if it's blocking the trail. And then you get to be the good guy that cleared the trail for someone else and also harvest some firewood. This item right here, I'm a big fan of. So some people like field notes, especially when they're trying to capture ideas in the process. I've become a big fan of writing on index cards because I can pin them on a bulletin board and put them in filing systems. And this right here is an index card holder that is as small as a notebook. So inside of it, there's index cards, and then you write on the main one on the face. And I use this for both storytelling for filmmaking, but then also on adventures. So I find I can kind of slip into autopilot when I'm doing stuff out in nature. And if I force myself to take observations while we're going about on a hike or things like that, it can help me remember to be safe. So especially when we're moving through snow and every decision that we're making could be critical for our own safety. I like making observations about how the weather's changing, how the snowpack's changing. And then we're out here, you know, we're actually legitimately far away from civilization. If we're gonna go on a hike, I wanna just be smart about things. What's our water levels at? I just like, by forcing myself to take note of things, that helps me be more observant and also a better outdoors person, something that I'm constantly trying to improve at. If you've seen some of my previous videos, I've made mistakes in the past, and so I'm just always trying to learn, and I love taking it on index cards. This setup for me is a total win. I love having this along. So another item from this tube here. This took me a while to put together in this setup. I'm not going to get into this full kit here in this video, but if you want a video breakdown of what's in kind of my awesome little cooking kit, I'm quite excited with how this came together, and I'm going to show you something inside of it there. So a compass. I love having a compass along with me. I appreciate this one for two reasons. One, it's got a mirror on it. So if for some reason we get cut off or we get lost or things go bad, we run out of power, you can use this to shine the sun back at a boat, at a plane, just by putting your hand in front of it and reflecting the sun. And it is crazy bright at a distance, and it's really effective for signaling, so that way people can actually find you if you are lost. But with this one as well, is it has a sighting range so you can take a bearing off sight lines. So especially on the water, if we're out on a dinghy, being able to use a compass that's good at taking bearings off things is really helpful, especially when using charts. So this is my favorite compass. It also has some sweet features where it will tell you slope angle. I thought that's pretty neat, where you can hold it up against a slope. So when we're out in the snow and we want to know if it's avalanche terrain or not, this can be helpful for that. Now, only a couple little things left, but this here in my cooking kit, at the bottom here, yes, I like using jet boils. I've talked about them before on the channel. They're nice because they cook water really quickly, but I found, you know, sometimes on a camping trip, it's nice to actually cook a meal and cook over a fire. So I'm really pleased with this titanium pot that I bought. This guy's really slick because it's got the baler handle above, and so you can actually use a cooking tripod to hold it over a fire. Because it's just titanium, you can cook with this right over a fire and it's not going to damage or wreck it. And then it has a handle built in. So for me, especially as I am out making adventure videos and stuff like that, it's fun having a cooking component, and I'm trying to up my camp cooking game. The last item, maybe I should have included this earlier, but it's a DFUSE foldable softbox. So as you can see, it folds down nice and small. You pop it out, extend the rods. This basically creates a softbox for any light source, and it works extremely well. So I'm a big fan of just using this with those small LED panels, and it will get you a larger light source. So if you're doing a self-film setup, or if you're doing an interview out in the field and you want that nice soft interview light that looks professional, getting a large light source like this works really well. And you can even use it as a diffuser with the sun. So if the light's coming down, you can hold this up in between your subject to create softer light so it's not so harsh. But this thing is so stinking effective. And even though it's got an opening this big, like you're supposed to use a light panel this big, I find if I just hold this over a tripod that has a light on it like this, this just ends up coming in clutch in so many scenarios. It's so light, it's so easy to pack. I'm a big fan of this softbox, and I think I really need to talk about it more on the channel because I don't see near enough people use these things, and they're really helpful. Thanks for listening to me share about some of the items that I'm really excited about. Again, I would love to hear the stuff that you enjoy in the comments below. It's great having you along with me out here sailing. It's just such a blast being on the coast. And if you want to learn more about Adventure Film Academy, if you want to come on a trip like this, just go check out the links below and I can tell you more about it there, and make sure you don't miss when I open the registration for the next ones. That's it for this time. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, life's better when you make stuff. Peace.